We just got off our very first ever Disney cruise. It was also one of the most expensive cruises we've ever taken, and we're here to answer the question, was it worth it? Hey guys, my name is Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
And we are JJ
Cruise.
Cruise. We are a YouTube channel all about the passion and obsession that is cruising, and today, we're talking all about Disney.
Yes, but before we do, please subscribe to our channel. All we talk about is cruising because we're obsessed with cruising. So if you love cruising, join the crew. Also, hit that thumbs up.
Yes, and
like
hit
this video.
that bell notification button so you never miss videos like these. Here in 2021, we are officially spending more time at sea than we are on land, and we want you to come along with us.
Yes.
So please hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into the good, the bad of Disney Dream and what's different in 2021, because there was honestly so much that was different and we were really shocked by it.
And of course, at the end, we're going to share our overall view of was it worth it and is it worth it for you to go on a Disney cruise. I also like to change this up. Maybe not good and bad, but the magical and the not so magical.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's start with the not so magical. We're gonna kick this off by talking about something in the stateroom.
Yes.
Now we'll mention the stateroom in the good, but there was something not so magical in the stateroom, and that was the shower height. Those of you may not know this, but Jared and I are pretty tall. I'm 6'3".
And I'm 6 foot. And I will say that the shower, when you get in, it is a bathtub, which is nice. We were in a family veranda, and the shower height was probably 6'3", 6'4". Jordan could get in and barely have his head not touch the top here.
Yeah, and this was different from how we've seen other showers on cruise ships. Normally, height is never an issue, but if I was 1 inch taller, I would not have fit in the shower. So I'm not sure how really, really tall people get in that shower and shower successfully. The bathtub was also pretty small, so bathing was not an option either. I hope that when this new Disney ship comes out, Disney takes into consideration maybe making that shower an extra inch or two, because I have a poof, and this all needs to fit.
The next thing we need to talk about is the Wi-Fi. Disney is so ahead in so many things, but Wi-Fi is not one of them. If you don't know, the Wi-Fi is done by megabytes, meaning that you can only purchase by the megabyte. You cannot purchase an unlimited package for surfing, unlimited package for streaming and surfing. It has to be just that of per amounts that you use of data, which is so hard to do in 2021.
And if you've joined our channel in the past, you know that Jared and I are known for going live from cruise ships. So this was just something that was pretty impossible. We did actually manage to go live a couple of times using cell phone data, but the Wi-Fi on the ship was not an option. We would have paid $100 to go live for maybe, what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So Wi-Fi, if you're planning on getting on a Disney ship, just know that you're going to disconnect. And that's not necessarily a negative thing, but for us, it was not so magical.
Yeah, you definitely cannot work from sea on Disney Dream.
Moving right along here, I want to talk about getting into the evening, and I'm talking about like the later evening. Something that we always enjoy is a late night hot tub session. Sometimes we bring you along for those. But on the Disney Dream, the pools and the hot tubs all did close at 10 p.m. For our liking, we found this just a little bit early.
Yeah, and the other thing is most of the time they opened up later in the day as well, sometimes at noon, which we feel is pretty late in the day when most people wake up at 6, 7, or 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So definitely something we hope that they change in the future, or just change on all their ships now.
Yeah, and also talking about some other things that closed early. Other venues and activities did close down earlier on this ship than we've seen on other ships. Almost all activities closed by 11 p.m. and all bars were closed by 1 a.m. We did try to make it to 1 a.m. the first night, and there was just nobody around. So we did have a second night where we hung out with some friends a little bit later, which was really, really nice. Of course, they're not going to kick you out of a venue. We actually sat in a venue that had closed down, and we sat there way past closing time. But if you're a late night person, Disney Dream is definitely not going to be that cruise where you're going to stay up into the wee hours of the morning partying and dancing the night away.
Yeah, and we had some friends that were on the four night before us, and they said the Disney Dream on 3 night over the weekend was actually more lively than the 4-night during the week, which makes sense, right? You have more of those weekend goers. But that even makes us more hesitant to recommend this to any late night owls out there that like to party late into the evening.
Yeah, and this might just be a culture thing when it comes to Disney Cruise Line. You know, there's a lot to do in terms of character meet and greets and on the island at Castaway Cay. So, you know, the vibe tend to be a little bit more early mornings and early evenings,
Yes.
Which again, maybe that's fine for most. For us, just a little less magical than we would have wanted it to be.
So the next thing is something that is more of maybe us just liking something more than the other for a different cruise line. But when we were at Castaway Cay, beautiful island, but no pools. We see this at more and more private destinations now, that there are some gorgeous, relaxing pools that you can bathe in, not have to get sandy, not have to go out on the beach or worry about the rocks or the tides or the wildlife. There are no pools on Castaway Cay. We hope this changes with future Disney private islands, or this is a upcoming renovation for Castaway Cay, but just something that we wish would have been there. Didn't like hurt our stay at Castaway Cay by any means, but just something that we wish would happen.
And we see this on other cruise lines happening quite often. So obviously Royal Caribbean has a private island with a pool. Norwegian has a private island with a pool. Carnival uses the Amber Cove stop and the pool there for their guests. So this is happening quite a bit. Disney is building a new private island in the Bahamas, and we're interested to see if this is a part of the plans. We've not heard that it's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did try to up their game a little bit to try and compete with other cruise lines, because we did see on Castaway Cay specifically, it was quite rocky. We recommend bringing water shoes, at least the area on the family beach that we were, we would have liked to have our water shoes that day on the beach. A pool could, you know, be a game changer and maybe just shake things up for Disney Cruise Line.
This last area, this last section is just something that wasn't so magical, but didn't necessarily affect us directly. We just feel for the cast members of Disney Dream.
We are putting a plea out there to Disney to please change the wardrobe for some of your cast members on Castaway Cay. They had on thick polo shirts on the island, and we got to talk to them, and they said it's something that is actually quite bothersome to the cast. They get really overheated. The day that we were there, it was about 90 degrees. Some of the cast members were in light flowing shirts, but then others were in these thick polos. We don't understand why.
Oh, and 90 degrees with like over 100-degree heat index. So we could see the sweat dripping. Obviously, that's not a magical experience for guests either. So hopefully you can change this up, have some breathable polos at least. Just an idea.
Disney, if you're watching, get those cast members some different clothes. And that was it for the not so magical part of our cruise. There really wasn't a lot that we would consider bad or not so magical. We have to get to the protocols and the things that have changed in 2021. But before we do that, we want to talk about the magic, because it was everywhere. And overall, this cruise, wouldn't you say, was magical?
Oh, yeah.
It was magical. So jumping right in, the check-in and embarkation process was super easy and very smooth. We did have to wait in the Disney terminal for about 30 to 40 minutes on our group number to get called, but there was easy seating, it was socially distanced. The terminal is really nice and beautiful, and once our group was called, we got to go right through the Mickey ears, get onto the ship, have our name called, and start our cruise experience. So everything from the get-go, I would say, was really quite magical.
The next area is really what Disney does well, and we could notice it right when we got on board. The Disney details is what we call it. That's in design, decor, anything that you see on board is purely Disney, and it is done superbly.
I mean, down to the art and the handrails and the carpet, the ceiling. I mean, it is truly all around you. This, for me, was one of my absolute favorite things on the ship, because every time you turned a corner, there was a new piece of art or something that you just didn't expect that really did make your experience all the more magical. Disney has done this superbly well on the ship, and honestly, I can say it is one of my favorite ships that I have ever sailed on, just from the fact that the design and the decor was incredible. Part of that magic also comes out in the cast and the characters. First off, the service was absolutely incredible. We couldn't get through a good review without talking about the service. Everything from our wait staff to the room steward to every person we interacted with did a phenomenal job. But then there was the characters, and they were all over the ship. And that's a question that we've been getting a lot. Are there characters in 2021? And yes, there are. They're all over the place. You can take socially distanced pictures with them. And honestly, going to the main atrium before dinner every single night and seeing the princesses out there, seeing Donald Duck, Mickey, Minnie, was honestly, again, one of the most magical things that we've ever been a part of. If you love Disney, it will blow your mind at how many characters you're going to see. And unlike the parks, you don't have to wait in a line for 2 to 3 hours to do, a socially distanced meet and greet. It really was a wonderful part of the cruise.
And this is something uniquely Disney. You can't find this on any other cruise. That is why it is such a magical experience. When we talk about entertainment, we cannot talk enough about the stage show. Now, we only got one because we're on Disney Dream, which was 3 nights. For us, we saw Beauty and the Beast. Gorgeous show, the best show of Beauty and the Beast we've ever seen. And we've seen a lot of Beauty and the Beast stage productions professionally done. This has moving backgrounds with modern screens. It does have a phenomenal cast.
Oh, amazing.
And the theater is gorgeous itself. So, I mean, honestly, the shows on Disney are top-notch, probably the best shows we've ever seen at sea.
Moving along to our stateroom. Now, I know we mentioned the shower situation in the bad. However, there was something we absolutely loved about our room and the bathrooms in our room. Notice I said bathrooms, and that's because there's 2 of them. Every single Disney room comes with a kind of a toilet room with a sink, and then a shower room and a bathroom with a sink. And this is to help, your families that are getting ready for dinner have 2 different spaces to get ready. I thought this was a brilliant design concept. This is obviously nothing new, but for us, it's the first time we've ever had something like this in our room. And it was just 2 of us in our room, but it was great because we could get ready at the same time, and we didn't have to see each other.
And within that room was room service. Now, we try to dabble on room service on every cruise, especially because I usually work remote in the rooms. This time I wasn't working remote. However, we did order room service because it was open 24 hours a day and completely free.
Yes, and not all cruise lines have this model of completely free room service. So all of the items on the room service menu were free, and they were really delicious. We loved the room service, and every single night we would order room service, and then we would turn on our TV. And something else that we found magical.
Yes.
The movies and the music. You had 24-hour access to Disney On Demand and Disney music. So you could either have Disney music playing in your stateroom, or you could be watching Disney movies. We fell asleep every night to a Disney movie.
I know. And key tip, you can actually get those Mickey ice cream ears ordered for room service. So we would do that every night. Have a little bite, a little dessert, a little treat while watching a Mickey movie.
Speaking of the food aboard the Disney Dream was honestly delicious. Both the food in the dining rooms as well as the fast casual restaurants were amazing. Dare I say it, the chicken tenders on the Lido deck were the best chicken tenders I have ever had on a cruise ship. And just so you know how the dining works, there are 3 main dining rooms that are each themed in different ways. And they have 3 different menus, and you're going to move from dining room to dining room with your waitstaff every single night. Pro tip. You can order anything you want off of the different dining room menus, and they will bring it to you in that dining room. We highly recommend the black truffle pasta in Animator's Palate. I would actually eat that in every single dining room if I had the chance to.
And also, you can just order appetizers or just entrees or desserts, whatever you like. It's your cruise.
The food was amazing, and we loved it.
Speaking of the main dining rooms, it was the fastest dinner service we have ever had in our lives. And I think this is a key point for families. We know that sometimes long dinners are miserable for families with young kids. They just want to get on with their day. They want their chicken fingers now, and they're good to go. This was done, I mean, honestly, I think every dinner service was under an hour, and we didn't even request it. I mean, it was just perfect for us. Like, quick. Once we're done, there's another plate in front of us. So great.
It only added to the magic and being able to enjoy the time on the ship and get in and out of the dining room. On a 3-night cruise, we highly appreciated not having to spend 2 to 3 hours in the dining room like we have on some other ships in the past.
And for the small times that you would wait, they actually had Like our servers were able to do magic tricks. They did puzzles with crayons for us, which I thought was just a nice little touch and really fun.
And
honestly.
characters
Oh,
show
yeah, the
up
characters.
in the main dining room when you're eating. So it was honestly, the whole dining room experience was wonderful for us. One of the most magical dining experiences that we had was in Animator's Palate. I already said it was a great experience for us, but your host for the evening is Crush, the turtle from Finding Nemo. And what was amazing was we were sat in front of this big screen. Crush would come up and talk to you by name and have a conversation with you. I've never seen anything like this happen. I mean, they do have it at Epcot, but to have it at sea and have it in the dining room for an adult, it was magical. For a kid, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it truly was magical. Nothing more to say. Something very magical about Disney is the fireworks at sea. You don't get this anywhere else. You know, this is something that you get fireworks on land, but you can't really get it at sea unless if you're on a Disney ship. And the Disney Dream brought that for even a 3-night cruise, which we thought was really cool. It was for both dinner seatings as well, so you never had to worry about missing fireworks to go to dinner. Truly thought of in a great way by Disney, and honestly, bravo.
Let's move over and just mention Castaway Cay. I know we said that we were disappointed that there was no pool there. However, as a whole, the island is quite beautiful. And there's a lot to do. There's bikes that you can rent. There's snorkeling equipment that you can do. We had the opportunity to be invited by friends to join them in their cabana for the day. And it was one of the best experiences on a private island I think that we have ever had. Castaway Cay really is nice. Use the trams if you're going there because it is hard to walk from place to place. And it gets very, very hot.
It does get really hot. I will say this, biking is fun, but I got overheated quite quick with 100-degree heat index, so feel free to use the tram. You don't have to impress anybody. You're on vacation. Take a leisure stroll in the tram everywhere you go.
Yeah, and enjoy the beauty of the island because Castaway Cay is truly beautiful. Last thing here on our magical list was de-embarkation. And honestly, it was the best de-embarkation we've ever had. We didn't wait in any line. We got up, we got downstairs to deck number 3, which was where we were disembarking, and we were off the ship within 5 minutes. It was so easy and painless. I'm not exactly sure because we're not seasoned Disney cruisers if that's normal, if that's just because of the lack of capacity. But we've been on other cruise ships where there's also been lower capacity and we've stood in lines for over an hour to get off the ship. This was honestly the easiest we've ever experienced.
So now that we've talked about the not so magical and the magical of Disney, we gotta talk about some things that are just a little bit different magic. And that's because of the pandemic we're in and the changes in 2021 from it.
If you're getting ready to go on a Disney cruise here in 2021, there's something you need to know, and that is safety is the #1 priority with Disney, and this is seen from the second you step inside their terminal. Honestly, everything from social distancing to masking to venue capacity, they are watching everything very carefully, and for us, we really, really appreciated it. Good job, Disney. We have never felt so safe during this pandemic, I think, anywhere like we did aboard the Disney Dream.
Yeah, and when we went, there were unvaccinated guests on board, of course, because it was a family cruise. However, that is changing now to where it's going to be almost all vaccinated besides those kids under 12. And I think this is a really good point to make. It is probably going to be the safest vacation you can get on board any ship because of their protocols being so strict, but still a blast to be a part of. So it might be a little different, but it's in a good way.
We briefly mentioned it, but they do watch venue capacity. And they'll put these signs out that says venue at capacity. Basically, that means you can't come in. I would say the only negative part about this is no one was really keeping up with that sign. So once Disney had deemed that a certain venue or bar or theater was at capacity, they really wouldn't take that sign away for the rest of the night. There was some times we did see people sneak past the sign, but just because the venue was at capacity did not mean the venue was full. No. There was lots and lots of seats open. Again, there were spaces between every single tables and groupings of chairs. Disney really, really did, I would say, watch the venues and put those signs up really quickly in the evening to say, nope, we're not letting anyone else come in for the rest of the evening. If you're in here, you can enjoy whatever activity or live music is happening.
Some things that have changed that are no longer available or have changed for what they're available for. Skyline. Skyline is a bar that is quite popular, and it has the passport, the drink passport for adults. That is something not happening right now because Skyline is only being used for tastings. Now, we did do a tasting ourselves, and that's a fun way to do a tasting and have a private venue for it, where it's just a select few guests. However, we would have loved to be able to do the drink passport at night. I think that would have helped us when we were looking for things to do late at night and there wasn't many people out. Another thing that is not happening right now is the Dole Whip and Dole Whip drinks with rum. We were looking forward to this. I know this isn't a big change, but this is just something to note that if you're booking a cruise right now, it is not happening on board the Disney Dream. Maybe that'll happen soon, but it's not currently.
One other thing that is different in 2021 that we think is probably the best change aboard the Disney Dream is the spa. The Rainforest Thermal Spa normally is a spa that you can purchase day passes or week passes to, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous thermal spa. However, the Disney Dream has removed the access of purchasing day or week-long passes and now allows you to rent out that space for an hour and 45 minutes private. So that means you and up to 10 guests can pay $175 for an hour and 45 minutes to just have access to that whole space by yourselves. We did this and it was amazing.
Maybe the most magical thing ever is to have a private access to a thermal spa for an hour and 45 minutes. It was so relaxing. There's so many parts that was just mind-blowingly amazing to experience. And when you don't have to worry about being next to a bunch of random people while doing it, it truly was magical.
When you talk about safety, this was another area that you just felt completely safe in because it's you and your private party not having to share anything or get into jacuzzis with other random strangers. We highly recommend you check this out if you're going in 2021. It might be the only time that something like this happens, and we loved it. Now we are finally ready to answer the question, was it worth it? And we have some explaining to do because for us during this time, yes, we would say it was worth it. But for you, we have a few different scenarios we want to walk through just to explain why it may or may not be worth it for you.
To give you a good idea of what we spent on this, it was less than what is normally spent on a Disney cruise. We spent all in for what, about $1,800 on this?
For a 3-night cruise.
Which is, if you aren't familiar, a deal for Disney. However, they're just coming back. School's in session, so there weren't as many kids as usually on Disney for a weekend.
What we are saying is, if you are a Disney person, and that means if you love Disney, if you love going to the parks, if you stay at the resorts when you go to Disney, a Disney cruise is going to be one of the best vacations you probably can take. The quality was great. You have that Disney magic all around you, and if you love Disney, you're going to love Disney Cruise Line, and it's going to be worth it. I also think in terms of the pricing, compared to some of the probably premium resorts, when you think about everything that's included, like your food and the room service and the shows, the pricing is definitely going to be in line with that Disney vacation, just minus the rides.
Now, if you are more of a cruiser who just likes Disney, but you're really more of a cruiser and you cruise all the time and you love cruising, the Disney Dream might be a little less worth it compared to others in its class. For example, Celebrity. We would say that our Celebrity experience might have been just a tad better than Disney Dream. So just keep that in mind if you are looking to book. We all know that Disney is a reputable and great company to work with. However, if you're thinking I'm missing out and you're on these other classes of ships in line with Disney, I don't think you're necessarily missing out unless if you're looking for that Disney experience.
And finally, if you are a cruiser and you don't really care about Disney, we would not recommend Disney Cruise Line for you.
No.
Because like we just said, this was maybe just slightly under what we experienced on Celebrity in terms of the quality of food and service and our overall cruising experience. And you could get a Celebrity cruise for the cost of a Disney cruise. You could probably even get a little bit of a longer Celebrity cruise. What we did say is we will probably never sail on a 3-night Disney sailing ever again, just because it was not enough time. And for the price, it was a big price to pay for only 3 nights. On a 3-night sailing, we didn't get to see, they didn't have more than one show available. Things like Pirate Night we didn't get to experience. So there's quite a bit of these Disney staples that Disney offers that we just did not get on a 3-night cruise. And the next time we book a Disney cruise, it will be 4 nights or longer.
And to clear up the air, we will be back on Disney. We cannot wait for the Disney Wish. We haven't booked yet, but we're waiting for a good deal.
We're looking at those sailings.
We're seeing, we're eyeing them. So we cannot wait to get back on Disney. We loved our experience. We just want to be completely honest with you. For anyone that is looking at booking Disney, it is kind of like that magical bubble out there, right? That a lot of cruisers are like, I haven't been on Disney yet. I've only heard amazing things. Should I book it? So we just want to be honest, and depending on who you are, it might be the most magical experience, or it just might not be worth it compared to what other cruises you're doing currently.
Well, thank you so much for watching. I know that was so much information. Like Jared said, we had a magical time on Disney, but we are getting ready to get on 6 cruises back to back here starting tomorrow. So we want to bring you along. So again, if you could hit that subscribe button, we're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers.
Yes. And if you could hit that thumbs up, that tells you like this video, and it helps YouTube notice that you're engaged with our content, and that helps us promote ourselves to a whole new audience of cruisers just like you.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
see ya.